Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's March 6, 2018, and this is another episode of Ask Me Anything. And there's a couple of comments on a couple of the more recent videos that I posted, or actually one video that I posted recently and a couple of older ones. So we'll start off with Jill Madigan's comment and question on the 30% tariff solar panels that I posted this last week. Jill commented, as I heard, the biggest effect will be the tariff on steel and aluminum, which will hurt U.S. solar panel and other major product manufacturers, including the NRA's gun maker owners. That will cripple those other manufacturers, their workers, then in turn the installers, who will indeed be the biggest losers. Do you think that they will let this happen? I guess we will have to wait and see. The trade wars by Trump's buddies think will be to their financial advantage, can set a great deal of retribution when the other nations react. I'm not looking forward to this one playing out. You said it well, Jill. Who knows what's going to happen with our administration? There's certainly no cohesive strategic plan, as far as I can see, from over the last year with the White House. But and I don't want to just knock the Trump White House either. I'm certainly not a fan of either the Democratic or the Republican parties. But let me respond to this, to your comment and question, by saying the way that I'm approaching this whole mess that's going on right now is to look at this, and my financial interests are somewhat minimal. When I talk about the various forms of capital, we're only my amount of concern that I have is only 10% of the whole concern that I have about all of the things that I invest in. Certainly it will affect the cost of many things that we're going to buy, but throughout my life I've seen the prices of so many things continue to go up, except for modern technology, as the prices have been going down. So I'm not as concerned about that. I'm actually thinking quite the opposite of the way most people would, I think, look at this. So, and this goes back to my core ethics. And the core ethics are self-care, taking complete responsibility for ourselves and our loved ones. People care, trying to have a positive impact and at least not a negative impact on other people, regardless of any borderlines any place else in the world. 3, earth care. Trying to take care of all of the beautiful resources we have, not just the mineral rights and fossil fuels and all. It's the forests, it's the seeds, it's the soil, it's the water, it's the air, taking care of those resources. And then the 4th, which I think a lot of us forget about, is future care. Really trying to think of this as like our indigenous forefathers try to instill upon us, to think about future generations, trying to make things better in this world for people to come, generations to come in the future, and not deplete all the resources and pollute all the soils and lose all of the really most valuable things in life. So that's how I approach this. So how does that play with respect to your question or your comment, Joe? Well, I'm against any tariffs on corporations from other countries coming in and bringing the products in, especially if they're materials that do pollution or extract resources from the earth. If anything, I'd like to impose higher taxes on us extracting oil and gas and minerals, because of the negative impact it has on the people and the environments where these materials are extracted, potentially even causing earthquakes and gas. And I won't go too far into any of these things, but it's everything from whatever mining source it is, the extraction methods and all do have a downhill trickling effect, and it impacts horribly those people of color, people of modest means, people who are poor. And it impacts our environment. It adds to our health care costs as well. So all of these things have such a negative impact that I really take the opposite view. I really want to impose higher costs to those things that we're extracting from our own soils and those things that do damage, so to offset the healthcare and the restoration activity. I think we should be incentivizing those people who are increasing restorative, regenerative, and resilient systems to promote health and well-being, to combat climate change, to use more renewable sources of energy. So I know that was an off way of addressing your question, but that's how I think, and I thought I'd say how I think. But I certainly echo your concerns. The costs of things so many things are such artificially inflated, and I think it's just foolish, some of the things that I've heard recently from the people in power. So I'll just leave it at that for this point. But thank you for your comment and question, Jill. Dorothy Faulkner commented on a video that I posted last summer, and when I was doing one of the composting series, I had some compost that had lots of dirt and rocks in it that I got from Purpose Farm because they had been doing some earth leveling in some of the pastures. So a lot of dirt got mixed in with the manures and all, which made the whole composting system less doable with my aerobic composting systems. So I mentioned in that video that I used some of our vermicomposting bins, added those to it, and let the worms do the work. And it did work out fantastic. But during that video, I mentioned, geez, I overfeed the bins and they get damaged, and the sides of the bins actually got messed up, and they were damaged. And so Dorothy commented, on my worm beds, I screwed 2x4s on two sides of the bins so I could overfeed them, and it worked great for me. Thank you, Dorothy. I think that's a great idea. I'd love it if you'd post some pictures about showing your system and all. And I just think we can all learn from each other with our comments and our diagrams, and sharing these systems so that we can overcome some of the obstacles, the challenges when we're doing various forms of work like this, whether it's composting or whatever. Many of the topics that I'm interested in. So thank you very much for contributing, Dorothy. I appreciate it. Another comment on the 30% tariff for the solar panels from Earl Shine. The cost of the solar panels were not the only consideration in our decision-making process to have them installed. Number one was aesthetics. They wanted black panels and black mounting system. 2, minimum amount of energy needed to produce them. 3, no toxic materials to be disposed of after their end of life. Maximizing the use, number 4, maximizing the use of space available on the flat roof. 5, maximizing gale resistance, so high wind resistance. East-west orientation of the mounting in order to minimize offloading to grid and using most of the production in-house. 7, ability to wash clothes, etc. during daytime, those high demand times where they previously had to do it at night or during the weekend. Number 8, existing subsidies. Number 9, evading tax on near zero interest rate savings account. And 10, most important, reducing our environmental impact. Happy gardening and greetings from Holland. Thanks, Earl. I really appreciate your including where you're from in Holland as well. So you do have a grid-tied system with net metering. Any more information you can share on this, I think, would be beneficial, so we know about how your systems work and how. And I think, you know, I want in this channel, in this community, for people to share their experiences and the challenges that they have, and like you mentioned, all of the things that help you in your decision making. Because making I think it's helpful for those people who are thinking about going solar to actually have a list of things to really give some conscientious thought to, you know, to really anticipate, wow, how is this going to impact these things, especially so that when they talk to an installer, they'll have more information available. And ultimately, someday I'd like to make a final video that really addresses all those things. There'll be more videos to come, as I've mentioned, on our solar system here, and some potential modifications we'll be making in the future as well. Now, our final question and comment is regards to how to size your solar panel system. That was posted about a year ago, and I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so bear with me, please. I apologize in advance. Elberbouch Sukana. I had a question, please. I'm working on a project about sizing photovoltaic system grid tied. In my project, I have to design the system the way that the inverter should shut down the modules, the photovoltaic modules, when there is excess electricity. Because in our country, it is not allowed to sell surplus to the grid. At the same time, in bad conditions of the photovoltaic system, we need to take electricity from the grid. Please help. I'm going to say Elber. I apologize. I'm so afraid of mispronouncing your Elberbouch. Thank you for your comment and question here. I need more information, and first off, I'm not an electrical engineer, an electrician, or solar panel installer. I've created one small little unit, and I had a professional come and install our system. But I do want to know more. I have more questions about this. So I'm assuming you don't have a net meter where the utility company will actually accept electricity from your photovoltaic system. That's what I think I got from this. If that's correct, please mention you just have a one-way, a consumptive meter, and that that it records how much you're utilizing from the utility. If you have a net metering, but they won't give you money for your panels, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. Some utility companies in other countries are going to have a hard time dealing with excess production and trying to manage the grid. So I'd really like to know where you're from, and am I correct in the assumption that you only have a one-way meter where you can only accept energy from the utility and it won't take it, feed it back? Now, I guess my short answer would be, it sounds like you need a relay switch in order to shut off the system, and potentially a dump, so that you can take that excess electricity. So I don't know, do you need to, when you're having high energy coming from your solar panels and you were there, would it behoove you to actually have a breaker, a switch, relay to switch off the utility, so the main breaker goes off, accepting power from the utility, and you can just run off of the solar panels? Or is it that your solar panels don't produce enough electricity for you to do the things that you want to do? This is a really challenging and interesting question to me, and I just want to get more information. So if you can tell me your country and more about the system. How much energy are you using a day? Have you calculated that much? And depending on where you are, do you have to deal with cloudy days, or do you have shading issues? How big is your solar panel system? And is it cost prohibitive to have the batteries? Is that the reason why you're not going with using batteries as well? I hope to do some videos, and it won't be this year because I'm just too busy this year, on building some lithium ion Powerwall, like Elon Musk's Tesla's Powerwall 2 batteries. a lot of people are picking up the used lithium-ion batteries now and creating their own little inverter system in it, as opposed to putting in, like in our system, since we use microinverters, adding an AC controller hybrid system to back up to a battery as well. So, Elberbouch, I'm not sure that I can help you, but I'm willing to see any more questions that you do have, because I may be able to, when Bill from Skyline Solar comes over, if I have more clear information on your specific situation, I may be able to help as well. So if you can post some more, another comment and give me more details, such as, you know, what's your annual consumption, what's your what size of system are you designing, and have you looked at relays and have you looked at dumps situations, so you can just like when we have solar thermal, when we're collecting too much heat, you have to be able to dump that heat into a different resource. And this would mean running an electrical system that you don't necessarily need. So, you know, or is it cost prohibitive for you to think about dumping this into a battery, and then you can use it during off hours as well? So I'm very interested in finding out more about your particular situation, and you know, I don't know how much I'll be able to help you, but I'm certainly excited about finding out more about your situation, and maybe together I can help direct you in some areas, or Bill can as well. So if this was of value, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate you sharing the video if this is helpful, if you found this helpful. And thanks so much for watching, folks. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.